following program is intended for a mature listening audience. Graphic and explicit language may be heard at times. The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual hosts and their guests do not necessarily express those of this station or sponsors. Listeners are advised that neither this station nor its owners and agents shall be held liable for the content of this program. Rebroadcast, redistributed or reused without express written permission by host or producer is not allowed.
This is the Debbie Perkins Radio Show. And here's your host, Debbie Perkins.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Hollywood Red Carpet Radio Show. I'm Debbie Perkins, and I'm your host. Tonight we have an incredible, amazing guest. He is a master. His name is John Ozuna, and I hope I got that right. He'll let me know. He is a first discipline grandmaster under Richard Lee. Is a master in black belt and Boku-Do with over 30 years experience. He has owned and operated a KO Kung Fu Karate in San Jose, California since 1989. He's also an actor, a producer, a stuntman, and much more. Welcome to the show, John.
Oh, Debbie, thank you for the wonderful intro. I'll tell you, it is amazing to be on your show. I've seen a few episodes, and wow, you have some wonderful guests, and it's just an honor to be on your show.
Well, it's an honor to have you, and we really do appreciate the talents that you have, and it's incredible what you do.
Oh, you're too
I do my homework so that you know. Never have I probably maybe once in the whole time I've been doing radio that I ever didn't study up on a guest, and that bit me. So I stopped and I realized that I better do my homework. Sometimes I get flabbergasted with a guest, and I'm very relaxed with you tonight, so I'm very happy. I would like to talk, John, to you because you're so amazing and you kick super high, super high. You're also incorporating this with stunt work. So let's go back as John, the young child, growing up. Now, where did you grow up, and how did you become interested in Kung Fu?
Well, it's I grew up in San Jose, California. That born and raised over here in the Bay Area, and I think I got my start in martial arts like many people of my generation did, and that's watching the first Kung Fu movies starring Bruce Lee. So I think the world knows Bruce Lee, but as a young child, the impact and the impression that he left on me, it changed my whole life. It just absolutely changed my absolute whole life in this. And I remember I was the first. I had told this story before, and I want to share it, but my parents took my brother and I to drive-in theaters maybe once every couple of months, and it just so happened that we went ahead and we went to see like a Clint Eastwood spaghetti western. So we just finished seeing the movie, and we were leaving the drive-in theater, and they've got several screens going on at the same time. So, my brother and I were in the back seat and just looking out of the back window, and all of a sudden, in one of the screens, I saw this young man flying through the air, kicking, doing this incredible fight scenes, and he just looked so dynamic. And to me, he was a real-life superhero. And I just got my parents' attention. I said, I want to see that. That's what I want to see. So that was 1971. And since then, I got the bug, and that really is what started my passion for martial arts, and all styles of martial arts. My first system of martial arts that I've trained in is actually judo. And I must have been, about 6-7 years old when I took my first set of judo classes. And that was great. It was an after school program. It was great. But it wasn't quite what Bruce Lee did. And I wanted to do what Bruce Lee did, fly through the air, do these incredible movements, making that incredible, what they call a ki, that noise of.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm visualizing it in my mind.
Yeah. So that was my humble beginnings of how it all really kind of began.
Wow. What's cool is, and ironically, for those who can't see John, you kind of resemble Bruce Lee. Am I off? If anybody ever said that to you? Because I know I'm not trying to be a suck up. What I'm saying is that it's like you really do have a resemblance.
Well, thank you very much for saying that. Nobody can ever be Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee is Bruce Lee. I know there have been so many impersonators. They've wanted to, when he passed, they want to have, since he was such a marketable commodity in the film industry, they wanted to replicate that. So they came out with all these other versions of Bruce Lee. And even Jackie Chan, in his earliest years of film work, he was interviewed in saying that they want him to become the second Bruce Lee. And he said that he wasn't that. But yeah, I really appreciate you saying that. It's always feels really good to know that, what impression I had in my mind of who I want to be was, at least I took just a little bit of that, and was able to put that into some of my work. I appreciate that.
That's cool. And physically, I mean, your features, you could totally pull off, a remake of his life or something if they ever wanted somebody to play but why hasn't his story been out there yet? I mean, like the real story behind the real man, and the real moves, that you all have studied years to perfect.
Yeah, there has been some. I think now in the last several years, there has been more attention drawn towards his life. His life, his family life, his upbringing. What made him into the man that he was. Just fairly recently, the movie Dragon was kind of a portrayal of his life, of how he started and how he was born in San Francisco, California, being literally a local boy to living in Hong Kong and being raised in Hong Kong, and his struggles with the movie industry. And that's. Debbie, you bring something up that sometimes parallels, my experiences with film work. He had been turned down often, and I think, as an actor, even if you do stunt work or things of that sort, you hear the word no a lot.
And because at the time he's being an Asian gentleman, there's only so many parts.
Exactly.
For him to play.
Exactly.
Because, I mean, he could play a cowboy, but he would look out of place. So the whole point is, meeting the needs of the audience for the script. And I think he did phenomenal. Did you, John, own one of his posters on your wall, by any chance? Did you have the one where he's kicking with his leg out?
I have to admit, yes, I've owned a couple of his posters. Yes.
I felt like you did.
Did.
It was like if I went to John's room, if I walked in your bedroom as a teen, preteen, that's what I would see is a lot of.
Are you sure you didn't stop in my room?
I'm wondering, did I just physically go there in my mind? But I think that's really amazing. Now, what are some other things that you did study, but it wasn't something that you used as flirtation, but you're able to have it as a secondary, whether education or physical work?
Yeah, I've had so many aspirations in my life. My father was my hero. He most of my family was is from Texas, Laredo, Texas. So my brother, my parents, my grandparents are all born and raised in Laredo, Texas. So, and I'm the one that was born, in California. Myself and my sister, and so football was a really big thing, in Texas. When you talk about sports, that football is a way of life. So my father was a collegiate football player, and he, there was scouts out there for, bigger colleges and possibly future professional. And unfortunately, he injured himself, but he was a star athlete in his high school, and so just like we our first teachers in our life are our parents, and our first heroes in our life are our parents too. I want to be my dad.
Aww.
And I wanted to be a football player. I wanted to be a football, star. But my stature didn't allow for that. I was good at it, but I was not.
But you're not 6'1" with like 48-inch waist.
Exactly.
So you basically but you did find something that was for you. And you excelled in it at a rate where you actually, I read Guinness Book of World Records, so I don't know if that's false, but I'm going to ask you, is there anything with the Guinness Book of World Records with you?
Yes, definitely. So I have held 2 Guinness Book of World Records. One is for the fastest punch in the world.
No way. No way. Yeah, I want that. John, I'm going to be talking to you after the show. That's awesome.
So, think about some of the fastest punchers in the world are American boxers. One of the fastest by far is Floyd Mayweather Jr. is one of the absolute fastest punchers. Can you still hear me, Swear?
Huh?
Can you still hear me?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, guys, just double checking. And so he was clocked about 26 miles per hour. It doesn't sound like a very fast punch.
No, it does too. Try to run that.
Exactly. But for a human body, that's a fast punch. So he was roughly clocked about 26 miles per hour. I was able to do a punch that was 43.3 miles per hour.
Wow.
So, almost trying to double it. So that. And
what did you do when you did it? Like, what was your immediate reaction? Like when they said they clocked you at that?
It's funny, there was a lot of preparation that went into developing it. There's certain factors, and one of the factors is just your own personal athleticism, your own personal ability.
Yeah.
Are you talented, in a certain way? The other is, sports specific training. So I had to do things that increased my hand speed, and the other was to be absolutely relaxed. In order to be fast,
that's awesome.
You've got to be absolutely as relaxed as you can be. So all those elements, pulled together at a single moment, it was able to really do well for the record. The other record I have is the most punches in 1 minute. So I was able to do 713 punches in 1 minute. So
what? Oh my! You're like a weapon.
I appreciate.
Holy moly!
I appreciate.
But you know what? I think that's fabulous because the next person that will succeed you will do it because you were their honor. You were the golden bar that they had to reach. I love that because they're going to be like, how did he do it? And and there is going to be that young fella out there. I don't think a woman would be interested in punching somebody super fast, but I do think that that's pretty amazing. Congratulations.
I appreciate that. It's one of the, again, almost, we were talking about, the TV series In Search Of, those are shows that were really, really popular back in my day. But one of the things as a child that my brother and I really always waited for the next edition was the book of the Guinness World Records record book. So we would wait every single year for that next record and just kind of reading through all the different records. And, some are human performances, and others were human oddities, and others were the most of this and the biggest of that, or tallest, just all those things were just, we were drawn to that. And I remember, thinking as a child, wouldn't it be amazing one day to see my name on there saying that, I did this out of the, or whatever, but never thinking, just you fantasize about those things.
Sure.
But never thinking that would ever actually happen. And the reason it happened, again, not for any other reason other than to bring attention to a child safety program that we had at my martial arts school. That's the only reason why I even considered doing this. And we had a very sad situation where a young lady, she was all of maybe 8 or 9 years old. She was abducted. She was physically harmed. She survived the situation, but her life was most certainly on threatened and
forever changed.
And she's really scarred for the rest of her life. So rather than going, oh, poor young girl, we wish it didn't happen, we wish her the best and hope everything goes well. Well, we thought, let's do something about this. So what I started doing is I started teaching child safety seminars. It was just any community. It would be, we would do it for the Girl Scouts. We would do it to any elementary school or middle school or even high school. We went to any organization that would have us so that we can talk about child safety in the community. And that was it. That's what really prompted. So I was in the kitchen of my home with my daughter, and we were discussing this, and I asked her, hey, how can we bring attention to this? And I'm not sure whether it was she or I, but I seem to recall her saying, Dad, why don't you, and she calls me Poppy, so I don't want to say Dad, but she doesn't call me Dad. She calls me Poppy.
I love that, though. That's different. It's different, and when you're in a mall or something, because your daughter's going to do that to you. Yeah. And you're in the mall, once COVID's done, you're going to go to the mall with your little girl, and she's not going to be so little eventually. Exactly. And she's going to yell across the world, Poppy, and the other kids are going to be yelling, Daddy.
Exactly.
And you'll know where your child is.
Absolutely. You're so absolutely right.
That's what having a unique dad name is.
And I love that, and she's such a precious young lady. But
absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you so much. You're so wonderful. You've been doing your research.
I have. I don't miss a beat. I don't miss a beat. And you've done some really amazing stuff. John, they have put you in stuff that I'm shocked, actually. It's not that I underestimate my guest. I just think that it's incredibly amazing. To be into the different films that you've been in. And I'd love to talk with you about some of your film work, and if that's okay with you. Do you mind if
not at all.
We talk a little bit about your fun work?
Yeah.
Because John, you have an amazing IMDb. So if anybody is looking up John, you have some really fantastic images on there, and it shows you in so many different styles of acting. I think that's just amazing. But let's talk a little bit about some of the early work that you did. Just because, that gets the early stuff out of the way. Yeah. But how did it come about that you were going to be in your first film, and what was that?
It's so unusual, and as I look back, it's actually a little bit hard for me to recall the exact specific project that really opened the doors. The way it really came about was, during the process of my martial arts, I've done a lot of competition, and I competed regionally in the California West Coast area, then nationally all the way up into the East Coast, Baltimore, Maryland, and whatnot, internationally. So I've gone to Europe and competed. I've gone to Asia and competed, and and it eventually became the highest levels of competition for my particular style of martial arts. So where martial arts that I do is not really represented in the Olympics, I do belong to an organization that has the equivalent of the Olympics for Kung Fu, for Chinese martial arts. And a lot of it is the full contact fighting that we do. And so I represented the United States team going to the European Cup and eventually going to the World Championships in Taipei, Taiwan. And the reason I'm bringing this up is that so when you compete and you do well, you do receive a certain amount of recognition. In some way, somehow, martial arts and the film industry has a common connection.
They have a great relationship, is what it is.
Yeah, they do.
They do.
As I was doing well, I was asked to be on wonderful shows like yourself and other talk shows and whatnot. And I'd be interviewed, and then they'd have me do demonstrations and that sort of thing. And then that led to somebody maybe watching that and saying, hey, I saw that what you did over there in that show, and hey, how about trying this in this film? Let's give this a try. So I've done several different projects, smaller projects, but very coincidentally, the one project that really sparked what's happening right now was several years back, and that was for me to be in an Eggo waffle commercial.
Really?
Yes.
That's so funny. I love Eggos. I do. I love. Who doesn't really? I mean, we all kind of grew up on those. Exactly. And your parents said make your own breakfast, and they had Eggos in the house. They were gone.
That was breakfast, lunch, and dinner for me.
It really kind of was like peanut butter on your Eggo. Have you ever done that?
Peanut butter, bananas, and strawberry.
Yeah, I've done that. I love bananas on my peanut butter on toast. It's one of my favorite things as a kid. Isn't that weird? But then again, some people might not like it, but hey, we do.
Hey, that's okay.
We do.
So, I was called up, they had contacted me and say, hey, we've got this commercial. We're going to air it for a short term, and then we're going to have it as an online commercial. But we need a master martial artist to teach people how to defend themselves against people trying to take their Eggo waffles. So you're going to create some Eggo waffle defenses. I said, absolutely. I can definitely do that. And so I appeared in this commercial, and I was, part of it was me being the master and teaching people how to protect their Eggo waffles, and it started with that, and then from there it just really took off, and I've had the great privilege of
That's fun, though.
It was.
That sounds so fun.
Yeah.
Sounds like you had a great time. John, hold on to the next thought, because we're going to take a really quick break, everybody. We'll be right back. Don't leave us.
Hi, I'm Pat Benatar. I'm a musician and a mom, so you probably won't be surprised to hear that I think it's important for kids to get a chance to learn music in school. Why music? Well, music education provides students with the skills and knowledge they need to succeed in school and in life. Learning to sing or play an instrument helps a child develop creativity, critical thinking, math, literacy, and teamwork skills. Schools that have strong music programs report higher graduation rates than those that don't. Learning music is even associated with higher education and income levels later in life. For today's students to succeed tomorrow, they need a comprehensive education that includes music taught by exemplary music educators. Make sure your kids have the opportunity to experience the benefits of learning music. Support your local school music programs.
A PSA brought to you by the National Association for Music Education. March is Music in Our School.
Well, all right, take me back, hold my hand.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. We're having fun on the break, so I'm sorry, guys. We're here on the Hollywood Red Carpet Radio Show with John Ozuna, and John is a grandmaster in martial arts. He does quite a lot of different things besides acting and production. Welcome back to the show, John.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
So much fun talking with you.
You're too kind.
You know, and during the break, we kind of pointed on something about females and martial arts, and I said that I thought that it was very good that you help girls, because I do believe that the basics can save a life. If, you know, say you're walking down the road and a stranger comes up and catches you off guard, and you can't reach for, you know, your pepper spray. I'll stay with that. And you know what I mean? Like, what are some, John, if you were going to give advice to all females out there, what would be the very most important, very first move if somebody attacks you from behind, you don't see them, they're in your blind side?
You know, that's a subject that's very near and dear to me, and it's a lot of our focal point in terms of training. And again, you know, and my daughter, you know, just there's some just inherent feelings that you feel about protecting your daughter. And my daughter's also a martial artist. She's a full contact competitor and whatnot, and she loves to really mix it up there. So
be careful, John, because if you're teaching her, she's going to beat the master. It happens. It's like learning cribbage. You know, if somebody teaches you, you end up beating them eventually.
Absolutely. I hope she does.
But you know what? She's learning her best moves from you, and you don't get any better than having a dad like you to teach.
You're too kind. You know, but to your point in answering your question, every person on this planet, you know, every human being is equipped with life preservation instinct. So I think what's important to understand as a person is that if ever threatened, you will do something. It could be running, screaming, shouting, scratching, clawing, biting. All those things would be instinctive for us to do in a given scenario. Now, just knowing that we have the instinct for life preservation, we already know that we'll protect ourselves in one way or the other. We're not going to give ourselves in. We'll do something. Now, for anybody that's out and about, and again, my heart just goes to, you know, just young ladies, because, you know, my wife and my daughter and my mother and, you know, and my sister, and, you know, just, you have this bond with these family members that you always want them to be protected. Now, I want to make sure I say this. The best martial artists I've ever developed have been female. So, you know, in terms of martial arts, you know, I would never say that they're a good martial artist for a female. They're just really good martial artists. They're great martial artists for in any standard. But, you know, I've had the experience of training, and, you know, I'll tell you, the ladies have an edge over the gentlemen. They do. But
so it's not just a male-dominated sport.
It's not.
Females are actually enjoying learning about martial arts in many different levels of form.
Yeah, well, they are, because they're breaking paradigms, and they're breaking the paradigms that I think society has already kind of put out there, that women are only supposed to be or act or behave a certain way, and it's just not true. You know, that the men are the ones that are supposed to, you know, protect and provide, and, you know, and you can go down the list.
Yeah, old world rules.
And that's really, thank you. I mean, in terms of the, you know, in wildlife, it's the lionesses that hunt, you know.
That's true.
So they're the ones that have a killer instinct to do so. So, but, you know, again, just to kind of answer your question, awareness is so important. just knowing where you are, counting on your primal instinct of knowing when something is not quite right. I think everybody, just like any animal in the world, we know when there's danger around, even though that we not see it. Yeah. We feel it. We feel that we're unsafe.
I think so.
And we feel that, so we all are inherently have that instinct.
Yeah.
Well, it really, it's important to really listen to that. But in terms of targeting, if you have no pepper spray and you have no weapon, handy, a finger to the eyes goes a long, long way. The most sensitive area of the body are the eyes. And you can take the biggest man, I don't care how big you are, you could be 6'5", 260 pounds, rock solid muscle MMA fighter. You get a finger in his eye, he is down for the count.
Because they have to stop and think what just happened and their eye hurts and now they gotta. Yeah, I guess you know what, that would take you off your game for a minute because you're just immediately something is in your face.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Your face, your eyes, the vision. I get that. That's awesome. I'll tell all the girls I know that as far as the move goes in case they are ever in. And nobody ever wants to be in that situation, trust me. But it can happen. We're in a strange time.
You're right.
We're in a strange time. But you know what? It's not bad because we're all learning together, if you ask me.
You're right. Debbie, let me tell you, you're really hitting on some amazing things here. And one of which is that, that anybody, regardless of your background, is susceptible to some kind of violent attack. It was back in the day, back in my generation, where they'd say, okay, avoid the dark alleys, avoid the bad neighborhoods, and you'll be all right. Everything will be all right as long as you avoid that. Don't go out late at night when it's dark. Nowadays, it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter what time of the day. It can just happen. It doesn't matter how populated it is. It can happen broad daylight around
anywhere.
Anywhere. Yeah, absolutely. So
in the deepest country, actually, you gotta be careful when it happens in the country. You got too many miles of no homes. But I think that's fantastic, John. And the finger to the eye is a great idea. So girls out there, if you're ever in a catch-22, finger to the eye. Finger to the eye. John, let's get to some of your great movies because I don't want to get through this time without them. And seriously, because each one of them have something that you have participated in, offered to each movie, and maybe some of them meant a little more to you. Like, I know that every project means a lot. I don't care who you are. If you're an actor, every movie you're in, that's a great feat because each act is different. Everything that you do is different.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
And that's what's a joy about it because, I mean, if you go from being a street fighter in one movie and then a doctor in another one, and then a superhero in another one, which is really so wide range. I mean, and you can be anything in the world. That's what's fun.
I love the fact that you even brought that up, Debbie, and that's to your point, and I strongly believe this. Every single one of my projects has been wonderful. It really has. You learn from every single one of those moments, and and you take with you whatever you learn into the next project, and you do that for every project. Most recently, again, my roles have been anything from, a street thug to a trained killer to a superhero to most recently to a priest. And I want to talk a little bit about that one. I have a movie that's coming out here, hopefully very, very soon. I think the due date on this one is summer. It's called Demon Fighter, and it is produced by CRA Entertainment. The producer would be Craig Aaron. Writer director is David Espinosa. These are amazing gentlemen in the industry. They entrusted me into playing this role of Father Maikol.
Cool.
And not to give away the whole.
No, we don't want that because we do want to watch.
Exactly, but essentially, I play a priest that's called upon to fight demons both physically and spiritually, and it just takes on so many different paths, and it's just opens up the doors to so many different emotions, and it's I have to say that this is the one film and one project that I've been a part of that has stayed with me the longest. They talk about actors that can't get off the character they play.
Yeah.
And I got a sense of that this time around.
Isn't it like being cast typed, or and they just kind of see you as that one type of person?
Yeah,
and
that's
no other roles will fit, but tons of other roles will fit.
The other, and what I'm talking about is more being so immersed into the character, being so immersed into the essence of the person that you're playing, that once you're done shooting and it's wrapped up and they're done, you yourself, and this is myself, can't stop being in that.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I see what you're saying.
And it was the strangest.
It's a challenge.
I dreamt about being that character or aspect of the film every day, every night for 1 month after filming. And and some of it was like a nightmare, and others it was kind of like just a regular dream.
Maybe it's supposed to be a movie. Maybe it's supposed to be number 2.
Yeah, it stuck with me so long.
So if it's there, you write it as a book.
Yeah, exactly.
John, if you know what? Why not? Screenplays, or it could be a talent you haven't tapped into. Because why not?
Exactly. I mean, you're right.
You can't get it out of your head, but if you put it on paper or in a computer later down the road, say you have an epiphany, and you just happen to come back up with that, and that becomes, somebody says that's a great idea, let's film it.
Yeah. You're right. You're absolutely right. And that's the sort of person where I'll get up in the middle of the night and I'm dreaming about something, and an idea pops into my mind, and I will get to my phone and I just write it in my notes and say, okay, I'm going to save that one for later.
Good. You know what? That's really actually healthy to do. It's very helpful for your mind because it gets it out of your head. Well, I'm sure you're going to think about things that are important, but then again, dreams have underlined stuff.
You're so right.
They mean other things.
You're so right.
I listen to this guy in the morning when I'm driving, and he talks like that about interpretation. So, hey, you never know, John. It could manifest just from you dreaming about it.
You're so right.
Anything's possible. So, I'm reading your IMDb, and you got some really cool stuff on here that people do recognize. But I do want to mention that I love the fact that you're on the cover of Infinity Project, and you are holding a gun. Yeah. And you look like an FBI agent.
That's essentially what I was. That was a great project. The Infinity Project was made by Wild Dogs Productions Company, and they had approached me and said, "Hey, we'd love for you to play the lead role in this one," and it has to do with you're essentially a CIA agent that's here to protect somebody, and you're going to go through an experiment where they're going to transport somebody else's brain, their memory, but not only their memory but their skill set into you, and they're going to transfer this skill set of being a master martial artist in you. So now you're not only a person with a gun, you can also fight. So it was, and then from there you just kind of the action ensued after that, and
that's really cool.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun. A lot of great action in this film, the Infinity Project. I finished last a couple summers finished a movie called Cabal, which I played like a superhero type character, which I was
Oh, wow.
completely costumed up, and that's and all these are
That's
out
neat.
streaming and whatnot. But last year, just right before the pandemic hit, my goodness, I had the good fortune of working on Matrix 4 with Keanu Reeves.
Nice. Good for you. You could play a double to him as a stunt person, too.
except he's about a foot taller than I am.
But they don't know that. They don't know that at camera angles can make you look 17 feet tall. That's what I love about the magic of the camera.
Exactly.
Because it literally fixes things. I mean, it can literally almost make somebody that's not very attractive look absolutely gorgeous walk down runway model. So it's pretty incredible what they can do nowadays, I'm telling you. It amazes me, truly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. What a really cool, fun project. You've done so many cool, fun projects. Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah.
A lot of younger folks would absolutely know that.
Yeah.
I personally know the movie Venom.
Exactly.
What a cool movie. What a super cool movie.
That was fantastic. So on Venom, the original movie, because I was on Venom and I was also in Venom 2. That just recently filmed last year.
Oh, congratulations. Oh, my gosh.
Thank you. So, worked on Venom 2. I worked with Woody Harrelson as well, who is on Venom 2. And,
oh, no. Woody Harrelson, he's wild, a little bit wild.
Yeah.
He's funny, though.
Did
he make you laugh?
I
bet he did.
We actually, we kind of hung out together a little bit before and during the shoot. So that was a great experience. It was a really
John, that's awesome.
So,
Woody Harrelson.
And for me, what I do is, basically in the large productions or really in any production, you have sets. So you have set where you have all the crew and you have where they're going to film. You have the actors that are going to be in that scene, all there. Everybody else goes into what they call holding, which is a room that's just kind of apart from.
It's like a green room, right? Everybody gets a little snack and chit chat if they or get on their iPads and their phones. Right. Everybody's on their phone. So
you hit it right on the head.
It's true. Walk in the green room anytime, anybody, and you will see everybody on their phone. Nobody looks at magazines anymore.
Exactly.
But they eat.
Exactly. They're munching on food. They're on their phone, and
funny.
They're reminiscing, and so that's what normally happens on a set. But what I do, and what I've always done, is I stay on set just so that I'm not in the way. But I stay on set and I watch the lead actors act. And what I do is I really study what they're doing. I study their rituals on how they prepare before a scene. I study what they do in the scene. I study how they're receiving direction and instructions from the director, and how they're applying it to the next take and the next several takes. And I'm taking notes. And I'm taking notes because I'm thinking to myself, okay, these people have made it in the industry, and there's a reason why they've made it. And and if it's something that I can educate myself on, other than just, again, I've gone through the acting classes and whatnot courses.
Yeah.
Improve that skill set, but there's always that extra little magic that don't talk about. And
I think I know what you're talking about. You're looking for what the spark is.
Yeah.
And how they get it and how they got it.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes it might be who you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's you got a really great agent that knows the right people to contact for you.
Yes.
And then sometimes I honestly believe that you are meant to be there at that time. So if you're meant to be these particular parts, say somebody contacts you and says, John, we got a great part for you. And then it's like huge. Yes. It was meant for you.
Yeah. Exactly. And it's those things that, rather than taken the time to be, in the green room or in holding, I really will take the time to study. And for me, it's, even though, I'm there to work, but for me, it's also class time for me. And it allows me the ability to go ahead and just be a really good student of the subject and to just get better at this. And that's, it's just one of those things where, I'm very appreciative of the opportunities I've had. I'm just so appreciative. But I don't want it given to me. And believe me, it's not given to me.
No. It's work, John. It's really hard work.
But I always want to be, a strong study of the subject, so I can just always get better. And that way, every time they do hire me, I'm giving them a better version of me.
I like that. Now, when you do your stunt work, John, now your stunt work, is that martial arts based? And do you know other types of stunt work besides that, the Kung Fu? And I'm sorry, can you tell me what it is that you studied? Because there are different, everybody has all kinds of different names for things.
The main martial arts that I do study and teach, and I learned from my teacher, it's called Bok Fu Do. Bok Fu Do. And it means white tiger. It's the way of the white tiger. And it's a Chinese system of martial arts. And my teacher is Senior Grandmaster Richard Lee. But I also know another system of martial art called Tian Shan Pai. Tian Shan is a province in China. The word Pai in Mandarin means the way of. So it's the way of this particular region in China, of their way of doing martial arts. So, but the main system is what they call Bok Fu Do. And so the stunt work, most of it is fight choreography. That is most of it. It is, being able to take a punch, take a strike, being able to deliver the strikes, being able to do complicated fight choreography that involves, more than one person. It may involve weapons, knives and guns, and sticks. It'll involve throwing and rolling and falling and crashing, and going through, a wall sort of thing. So all those aspects of stunt work in terms of taking the falls, and that's the biggest thing. It
is huge because, John, what you're doing is you're saving another actor from breaking his hip.
Yes.
Or harming himself and actually being knocked off the set for could be months to who knows how long it would take if you hurt yourself on set. And they don't want that because these people are insured. So I'm almost positive, John, you're saving lives. Saving films one at a time. I swear that's what you're doing. That's a great title for a movie. You could do a total spoof on something like that. Now, John, you've been in so many different amazing movies and TV shows. You actually was in one that I recognized. You have some really cool stuff here. 13 Reasons Why, and I've seen that. I've seen that. And wow. I know that. I know what it is. Now, the difference between movie and film for you, are you comfortable with both?
Yeah. It's both, whether it be TV, whether it be film work, like a feature film versus a TV series. Mm-hmm. It essentially has the same process because the way they do TV series nowadays, each episode is like a mini movie, and it's very much done in that way, unless it's done in a set with a studio audience, which is a whole different sort of format. It's literally you're making a little movie each and every episode. And 13 Reasons Why, I was so happy to be casted for that one, because of the subject matter. And it's the subject matter initially was suicide, and it's a taboo topic. It is something that people will rather not talk about than talk about, and everybody has kind of their opinion on it. And I was so, felt very blessed to participate in something that was part of my family history. So I had the experience of my father had taken his life. And so the subject of suicide is very, very personal to me.
Very nice. And I'm sorry for your loss, but the education that you're going to share from that is going to be so valued. Thank you so much, John, because you contributed to helping people, and that's huge. You're also an educator. You're a teacher. You're a great person. You've done so many cool things. No, actually, I got one more question before we close the show.
Okay.
I want to know, if you could be a superhero, who would it be and why?
I want to be my mom.
Oh my gosh.
I want to be my mom.
Oh, she must be like
It's so funny
cool.
that you even asked the question, because she is the strongest person I know. And what she has gone through in her life, in her very, very humble beginnings of her life, she both my dad and she, were migrant field workers. They're the ones that work the crops and do the field work. To go from that to being a successful woman in her own right, but to have the strength to keep the family together.
We got to get your contact, honey. Where can people get a hold of you?
You know what? People can contact me.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Facebook, they just have to look up my name, John Ozuna, on Facebook, also Instagram. They can always contact me on my email address.
Perfect.
And it's masterozuna@kokungfu.com.
And you can get him on Google.
Yes.
Awesome. John, you got to join us again. Thank you so much for coming on. It was a pleasure.
My pleasure.
Thank you, everybody, for listening this evening. We had so much fun talking. We'll see you next week. Good night.